Hello and welcome to the Gettysburg Update. You are listening to 91.1 WZBT Gettysburg. Today we have a great show for you. We will be discussing the Gettysburg Mayoral Debate that happened recently at Gettysburg College, as well as the candidate forum for the school board and also other local news. We, of course, had Chad Allen Carr, one of the candidates, the Democratic nominee, on the show last semester. So we're going to discuss that. We're starting off with the Democratic primary in May. Chad Allen Carr secured 268 votes, and Rita Freeling had 237 votes. So Chad Allen Carr won the Democratic primary, but Rita Freeling decided to continue running as the Republican nominee and will be on the ballot in November for the election. So we had a debate on campus hosted by the Public Policy Department, the Patrick Henry Debate Society, the Pre-Law Club, college Democrats and Republicans. A lot of different groups supported it, and I was in attendance, and I was really happy with the attendance. It was a very heavily attended event, and the debate was contentious, and it was heated, and it was great. It was great entertainment, and also great policies. So we have Chad Allen Carr. His main proposal comes with policing. Right now in Gettysburg, the Gettysburg Police Department is overseen primarily only by the mayor, but Chad Allen Carr is moving to have the police department be run by a council of 7 rather than just a single mayor, as Rita Freeling, as it is now under Mayor Rita Freeling. The Gettysburg Borough Council would be overseeing the police department instead of the mayor. So that is the policy change that is at the heart of this debate. So we're going to play a clip from the candidate forum. It was hosted by Public Policy Department Chair Professor Dowds, and yeah, we're gonna listen in.
2 minutes each. At the mutual request of this candidates, we will begin our forum this evening with a 2-minute explanation of the scope of the Borough of Gettysburg's mayor's responsibilities and authorities presented by Dr. Alana Safapur. I even practiced before, didn't I? Safapur, and she will provide this lesson, followed by opening remarks from each of the candidates delivered in alphabetical order by last name. Alana?
Good evening, everyone. As a political scientist, I often remind my students that although presidential elections do capture headlines, local elections profoundly shape our daily lives. Your mayor makes decisions that directly affect your neighborhood, often in ways that are much more immediate and tangible than any federal policy. Despite this, very few voters participate in local politics. In the last mayoral election, less than 1,300 voters cast ballots, and their winner was determined by about 250 votes. Now, under state law, Gettysburg's mayor serves as the borough's sole elected executive officer, and this position carries specific duties: preserving order, enforcing ordinances, ensuring faithful performance of appointed officers, signing contracts and legal documents, and reporting to the borough council. The mayor also possesses emergency powers to protect public safety during times of crisis. Now, the issue generating a great deal of discussion locally concerns police oversight. And state law also creates a careful balance of power between the mayor and the borough council over our police force. The borough council establishes the police department, creates its structure, designates its ranks, and controls the budget. However, the mayor holds day-to-day operational control once police officers are hired. This means the mayor directs how police duties are performed, supervises the police chief, makes deployment decisions, and coordinates law enforcement activities. So the next relevant question at the heart of this debate is, can or should these powers be delegated? Well, Pennsylvania law provides one avenue. With council approval, a mayor may voluntarily delegate non-legislative and non-judicial powers to the borough manager. However, this is a choice that a mayor may make. It is not a requirement under existing law. Alternatively, it's possible to alter the existing balance of power by changing Gettysburg's fundamental government structure through a voter-approved home rule charter. Now, whether that existing division of authority should be changed is a topic that both candidates will likely address this evening. Now, with that brief introduction, I'd like to invite the candidates for mayor to issue their opening statements, beginning with Councilmember Chad Allen Carr.
Before we proceed, I just want to jump in and say that this audio is from the community media of South Central Pennsylvania. You can look them up, communitymedia.net. They air the Gettysburg Borough Council meetings. They air them. They aired the candidate forum. They're a great source of coverage of local affairs. And if you're listening after the fact, after this is aired live, it will be linked, the community media, so you can access the whole mayoral debate and also whatever other civic stuff you wanna look at there. So that will be linked when I publish this after the fact. But yeah, now continue with Chad Allen Carr's opening statement.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Chad Allen Carr, and I'm running for mayor of Borough of Gettysburg. I was told that's one of the first things you have to say. Make sure you say your name. Make sure you say what title you're after. I ran for this position 3 years ago. For the exact same reasons, I'm still running again. I believe that this borough needs proven leadership, energizing town, and accountability and transparency. First and foremost, I believe that the police department needs more and better oversight, period. Respectfully, I do have to correct one thing in that statement you just made. The Commonwealth of PA Borough Code does not necessarily say that it is delegated to the borough manager. It specifically says it can be delegated to an officer. An officer has no definition in the Commonwealth of Borough Code, believe it or not. We're all sworn officers. I took an oath when I took office as council member at large of Borough of Gettysburg. The borough manager takes an oath as well. So does our code enforcement officer. So does our president and vice president. So, again, respectfully, it does not state that it has to go to the borough manager. I believe that the police department needs to be have the same oversight as all of our departments in our borough. Every single one of our departments, except for one, reports to 7 elected council members. The police department is the only one that only reports to one person. Thank you, 30 seconds. I believe that that can be changed for the best interest of the taxpayer. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Rita Freeling. I'm a native daughter of the Gettysburg area, and I now live in Gettysburg. I grew up here, I went to school here. I have more than 40 years of experience in law, public policy, communications, and direct public services. One thing is about the mayor and the role and the oversight by of the police department. Section 1121 of the Borough Code cannot be any clearer. Subsection A states that the mayor shall have full charge and control of the chief of police and the police force. I did my little research, and I only think there's 2 places in Pennsylvania where this isn't so, and one is Bethel Park, and the other is Penn Hills. And that was determined by home rule. That's one way you can change it. If you really want everybody's opinion and every resident's resident's opinion, you just don't take the mayor and let him shine it over to somebody. That should be done by a vote of committees made up of different people in the borough. That includes elected officials. And I'm also an attorney, so I think I bring that to this and understanding that. So, I really don't have that much more to say. It's clearly stated in Pennsylvania law who has oversight of the police department. Now, if Gettysburg wants to veer off on another course, go ahead. And I'm sure you're going to get a lawsuit. And everybody here is so afraid of lawsuits, and I do have to bring this up. While I had oversight of the police department, not one lawsuit was brought against them. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. While we are on the topic of police and policing oversight, by the way, the candidates received the categories and some draft questions in advance of tonight's forum, but they were not given, we were not identifying which specific questions would be asked. This first question relates to policing and policing oversight. Some Gettysburg residents have raised concerns about alleged police misconduct and the perception that local officers sometimes act too aggressively, which can erode trust between the community and law enforcement. As mayor, how would you address these concerns and ensure that the police department operates with accountability, fairness, and respect for all residents? Mayor Freeling, we'll start with you.
I think that since I've been mayor, the relationship with the police department and the community has improved. I talk to them, they go to training, and I think I give them a hairy eyeball that they know they're not going to do that. However, we need also the public's accountability along with police professionalism. I don't know about you, but when I'm pulled over by a police officer, my first question is, what did I do wrong? They're not just pulling me over. I'm like, I know I did something. And that's just my reaction. But I think it's a duty of respect between each and not fearing one or the other. Now, maybe we did have some issues, but I think they've been corrected, hopefully. And where am I on time? 1 minute, ooh. And I think it's just building respect between the community and the police. One of the things we do in August is have National Night Out. Please come down, and that way you can interact with the police department. Also, I have started holding office hours on campus, and I'm going to increase those. And our new officer in charge, Sergeant Evans, has decided to come with me so you can meet him, bring your concerns and what your issues are, and we can meet and talk together and foster that relationship with the college. Because I have to say this, being a native of Gettysburg, I love Gettysburg College, and I'm going to just put a plug in. My husband went here, and he graduated magna cum laude. So I like Gettysburg College.
As I've already said, I believe that, and as our second speaker mentioned, she quoted the part of the Commonwealth of PA, Pennsylvania Commonwealth of Borough Code, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Borough Code. The only word that was different in there is manager, is officer versus manager. So it is in there. It can be done. It can be done without home rule. I'm not opposed to home rule. I absolutely think that we should be listening to residents. And again, that is why I ran 3 years ago, and that's why I'm still running again. I do not feel that things have changed in the last 3 years. So specifically in regards to the Department of Police here at the Gettysburg Borough. I believe that that oversight and transparency can be better with a council of 7 than with 1. And I applaud the good work that our officer in charge, Sergeant Evans, has been doing since he's been in that position. We are still looking for a new chief. I wish the last chief I wish him well. I wish him well. but I am glad that he is no longer in the Borough of Gettysburg. Thank you.
Yep, so that was their opening statements and also their discussion of police oversight. So what Chad was just referring to at the end was that Police Chief Robert Glennie stepped down in May. Let me see here. He resigned, and he is recently hired to lead the Mechanicsburg Borough Police Department. He submitted his resignation in June 27th, and yeah, he's already begun his duties in Mechanicsburg. And at the meeting that he resigned, he drew praise from several council members and Rita Freeling. Chris Berger commended him for modernizing operations, increasing training, and enhancing event security, saying, quote, "I think you have been a net positive for the borough." And then Chad Allen Carr had some very strong words to the contrary of that. So, I mean, that kind of gives you perspective as to the differences, in their thoughts about policing. I'm going to just talk about some key points that I saw from the rest of the debate. I'm going to play another clip, but I'm not going to play the whole debate in full. So there was a lot of discussion about economic development and the station project, the Gettysburg Station project, is new modern developments in the borough of Gettysburg where there has been an empty lot for a long time, and a lot of residents, you might have seen signs all around about, save historic Gettysburg, trying to stop the station project and its modern architecture, and also, the increased, population that it would bring, and then it would increase traffic, in town. So there's a lot of residential complaints about that, but both candidates said that it's kind of been, something like before both of them were in office, it's just already been, in place. There's nothing they can really do about it. That's what both of them kind of were talking about, but Chad Allen Carr talked about the importance of, because there isn't a lot of space to develop in the borough, and building up instead of building out, because most of the borough is already, has buildings. So, yeah. And then I thought it was interesting. At one point, Rita Freeling suggested using the library as space for business, and I was just very surprised by that. That really struck me. I don't know what exactly she meant by it. Maybe where would we have the Gettysburg Library that's not there? I don't know. I don't really know exactly what she meant by that. It was just kind of an offhanded comment, but I thought it was interesting. And Chad talked about the importance of incentivizing affordable housing, and he talked about the importance of service workers to the local economy. He said that was very important, and that they deserve to be able to walk to work, and they shouldn't be pushed out of the borough. That's what he said. And he also talked about the non-discrimination ordinance that he introduced, protecting people from being discriminated against in terms of housing, on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. And that was an ordinance that he put forward as a council member, and it passed the borough council. So he talked about that. And there was talk about party affiliation, and about, how Rita Freeling was a Democrat, is serving still as mayor as a Democrat, but is now running as a Republican. And it's the importance of your party. And Chad was a little bit critical of Rita Freeling for running as a Republican, even though she lost the debate, and it got heated. It was definitely some good entertainment. It was very, very contentious. So, we are going to play some of that once I get it up. I thought it was it felt like a moment of political theater. It felt very entertaining. It felt like, something you might see at like the national level between political opponents. Chad and Rita have been fighting, politically for quite some time. 3 years ago, they were both the candidates, and Chad lost, and now Chad is winning the primary and is in the lead, presumably. I see a lot more Chad signs than I do Freeling signs, but I do see a lot of Freeling signs as well. So it is a very contentious debate, but I'm going to play that some more clips from the debate.
Property owners create more housing in downtown Gettysburg where it is needed most. Thank you.
This fourth question is about general policy perspective. To what extent, and Councilman Carr, you'll lead the first response on this one. To what extent do your policies and proposals align with the party ticket on which you are running? And to what extent do you think party affiliation is important in this mayoral election?
Much of my work, if you don't know much about me, much of my work is centered on building community. You can check out my website, chadalancarmayor.com. Yes, my name does have a hyphen in it. I also have social media platforms under my name as well. But much of my work is centered on building community. The goal is to listen and stay approachable and address concerns with transparency and care. I believe that those are qualities that most align. No disrespect to my friends and colleagues that are Republican, but those qualities, in my opinion, most align with the Democratic Party, which is why I respect people's time and the election processes and values to which we hold dear, which is why when I lost the primary election 3 years ago, I respectfully and immediately conceded the loss to the opponent, because that's how a primary election is supposed to be done, and I respect my party. As I said, my goal is to listen and stay approachable and address concerns in transparency and care. I believe that those are the qualities of the Democratic Party, and which is why I am glad to be the Democratic primary nominee, having won the primary. Thank you for your time.
I lost the Democratic primary by a slim margin of 31 votes. The Republicans wrote me in. If those people took time to vote me in, I'm not going to ignore them. I have worked for Democrats and Republicans, and I want to reach out to the independents. Unity means we're all in this together. That's Democrats, Republicans, and also independents. And that's the way I feel. I've always felt that way. I grew up in a home where my father was a Republican and my mother was a Democrat. So I understand both sides of the story. I remember sitting on my father's lap watching Watergate. So I just have a different viewpoint. I grew up down the road from Dwight D. Eisenhower. It was close. So I just have a different way of looking at it. I think we're all in it together. We should all come to some kind of consensus and collaboration that benefits the community and all of our opinions and feelings. Now, are we all going to get along? No. And I applaud you for the human relations thing, but that's been in Harrisburg for years. And I'm glad it's part of Gettysburg. The Human Relations Commission has been in Harrisburg for years, and I'm proud to say I knew one of the first directors, Homer Floyd. So it's just the way I think we need to stop the polarization in our country and come together as Gettysburg, and as I said, to show them how at the Peace Light, which is outside of Gettysburg, it symbolized our nation coming back together after the Civil War. Very brilliant part of our history, but that memorial's made of Maine, I think Indiana, Bob corrected me, Indiana stone and Georgia stone. It shows that our nation came together here in Gettysburg, and I really believe in my heart we can do it again.
Councilman Carr, Would you like to respond to the point about the Human Rights Committee?
I'll respond to that. It is great that the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission is in Harrisburg and has been. That has nothing to do with the Borough of Gettysburg specifically, because the Borough of Gettysburg non-discrimination ordinance protects equally, is inclusive for protecting discrimination against for housing, employment, and public accommodations on the nature of sexual orientation, gender identity. While the PA Human Relations Commission is wonderful, they are not helping specifically with the Borough of Gettysburg like this non-discrimination ordinance is. I'd also like to point out that yes, you did lose this primary by 31 votes, and 3 years ago I lost you by less. And I conceded immediately.
But you weren't written in by a group of people.
Oh, I'm very well aware.
Well, yep. You weren't written in by a group of people that I am just not going to ignore.
The final formal question for the evening speaks to your larger perception of the role of the mayor of Gettysburg. As we heard from Dr. Safapur, the Borough of Gettysburg has a form of government in which the mayor's role is more limited than in some larger cities. As mayor, how do you see your responsibilities in shaping policy, providing leadership, and representing the community? And what would you do to make the most of the position's influence to benefit residents? And it's to you. Yes, Mayor Freeland.
The Borough of Gettysburg mayor has limited responsibilities other than oversight of the police department. But you serve as an ambassador for Gettysburg to make people aware of what we have here. And yes, I'm going to say it. I was a high school cheerleader here, and I was a Penn State cheerleader here, and I know how to promote things and keep it going. Just like I went to the Rotary Club meeting the other day, I talked with people from foreign countries who want to get groups from their countries to come here, and that will increase tourism and make people know. I go out to events. I want people to know about how wonderful Gettysburg is, what you can do here, things to do, how it's just a wonderful place to live. And somebody at a borough council meeting said, and I wanted to applaud him, that people come to Gettysburg because it's quiet, it's laid back. It's not a city. It is not a state college. It is not Chambersburg. People come here because of our quaintness and the importance of our history. The 250th anniversary of our nation is coming up, and I don't know who to attribute it to, but it is a Gettysburg saying, and I still think it's Nick Milagikis, but other people have told me. Always remember, the Union was born in Philadelphia, but it was preserved in Gettysburg.
As has been mentioned, yes, the mayor's role here in the Borough of Gettysburg is somewhat limited. It's what we call, with the Commonwealth of PA, a weak mayor system. Now, that's not really to say that anyone that has been in that position is a weak person. It's just a weak mayor system, strong council system. But I do believe that the role of the mayor is and should be a champion for the town. And yes, that absolutely includes everyone. Once elected, absolutely, that includes everyone, no matter the party, no matter if it's Republican, Democrat, Independent, or even those that choose not to vote at all, because that is their right. That is their right. But I believe that the mayor could be a champion for everyone. And listening to everyone is very important, and that's why I am very proud to be listening to those of my party that made their voice heard at the primary, and I'm thrilled to be their elected nominee. My experience in creating the many things that I have created here in Gettysburg Borough since moving here in 2009 with the Gettysburg Community Theater, with Gettysburg Pride incorporated in their annual festival, about to enter its 10th year. All of these things before running for office that I helped create for this town, I did it for the love of the town and because I was listening to people that wanted something like that here in the borough. I believe that is exactly what needs to happen with the mayor, listening to what people want here in the borough. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
Yep, that was that was the discussion of party affiliation that got a little tense, and then their closing statements. So next, I would like to move on to the Gettysburg Area School District School Board election. So, aside from the special election, this is just the main election. There are 4 seats up for grabs. There are 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans running. The primary, had some people on a split ticket. They were both Democrat and Republican. Some people chose just Republican or Democrat, but most people were on both tickets. But now they are officially affiliated with their parties. So I'm going to talk about those that won. So on the Republican side, you have David L. Seitz with 1,780 votes, and then behind there's Justine Sieg with 1,508 votes. Then next was Donna Harrison with 1,267 votes, and Michelle Smyers with 1,092 votes. And on the Democratic side, you have Kathleen Pratt, who has 1,738 votes, followed by Julietta Bose with 1,343, followed by former Gettysburg College economics professor Charles Weiss with 1,193 votes, and then Dale Brennan, former social studies teacher for 30 years, with 1,130 votes. So, yes, so that was a unique situation with the primary, as the candidates that were being both Democrat and Republican did get more votes than the ones that were just Democrats. So we'll see how that differs with the general election. But I'm going to talk about the school board candidate forum, which happened the same week. It was Democracy Week, hosted by the Eisenhower Institute, and they had candidate forums. Alex Hayes was the host. Michelle Smyers, interestingly, her name tag appeared on the table, but she did not appear to be there. And Dale Brennan was also not able to be there, and he had someone read an opening statement, a proxy for him. So that was the debate for the 4-year seat. So Joe Saylor delivered opening remarks on behalf of Dale Brennan, citing his 30 years of experience as a social studies teacher, as also a volleyball coach. And Julietta Booz is a retired naval program manager. Donna Harrison has taught for 30 years at Franklin Township. She has a master's in business administration. And she was the principal of James Geddes Elementary for 8 years. Kathleen Pratt served on the school board from the Gettysburg Area School Board from 2017 to 2021. And she's currently on the board for 6 months, filling a vacancy. She, in her opening statement, she talked about how they should not have raised taxes during COVID. And she also criticized the Trump administration's closing of the Department of Education. Charles Weiss also talked about national issues in his opening statement. He talked about the federal government overstepping on LGBTQ rights and also DEI policies at the local level. He argued that was oversteppment. And when asked what is the role of the school board, Pratt discussed the importance of hiring a superintendent who hires faculty and controls the budget. And anything further from that is overreach. Further, Charles Weiss talked about how the school board should not decide, to hire and fire the football coach, which was a controversial news story for a little bit. Weiss thought that was overreach. It shouldn't be really in the board the board's purview to do that. It should be like the superintendent doing that. The issue of there being 229 less students now than in 2020 was discussed. And it was projected by Alex Hayes, the host, the local journalist, that it would drop by 2030 to 500. It would drop 500. And Weiss, the economics professor, disagreed with the projection. He was cited, there's going to be housing growth with the station project and also other projects. So he disagreed with that premise. The question asked by Alex Hayes, another one, was what budget adjustment policies would you support, or ways to generate revenue? So Weiss was concerned about the cost of the Adams County Technical Institute. He does support it, and he supports its expansion. They're planning on a $50 million expansion of the grounds, which would be $1.5 million per year in the budget. But he was arguing that maybe there are some ways to cut costs and not have it be cost as much. Maybe he talked also about using HAC, the community college in Gettysburg, using their facilities and sharing that to, bring costs down, because currently they're kind of not, they're not taking all students, they're turning students away because of it's a vocational institute that is very popular. Charles Weiss also talked about how expensive cyber charter schools are, and he said he would look into that. And Booz and Harrison did agree with that assessment. They want to look into that as well and see if they can not have public funds be used for that. Maybe bring that in-house. Pratt had the idea of wanting the state legislature to allow public schools to advertise like how charter schools do. They're currently not allowed to do that. That was a proposal. When talking about books in the libraries, Harrison talked about how all books are school board approved, and there's nothing scary happening in libraries, as there are there is a movement of book banning in this country. So it's kind of dispelling narratives about that. Weiss praised the library committee and their professionalism in judging which books are age appropriate, and he said the library people should decide what's in the library, and they're already doing a great job of that, and they would not support book bans. And he was happy that efforts at book bans were stopped in Gettysburg Area School District. Yep. So as I mentioned before, there was discussion of the Adams County Technical Institute, the vocational institution connected to the high school, of the new campus expansion, the new facility to allow more students. Weiss said that, like I said before, should not just be new land, but also using, HAC's land to save money. And he also dispelled, myths that vocational kids they don't need English, they don't need science. He was like, they do need and require, all subjects and math to be taught, and they are getting that education as well. The topic went to hiring minority teachers. Pratt said that DEI should be embedded in the fabric of schools. Weiss cited that the Gettysburg Area School District has only one teacher of color currently, and he didn't say that. He said, I'm not saying that they're racist. That's what he said. He said that there's something broken with the hiring system. Maybe they're not reaching out far enough away from Gettysburg to get a more diverse teacher population. And he talked about eliminating implicit bias in the hiring system. Booz talked about they should expand the hiring process geographically. Okay. So I'm going to move on here. So Weiss also talked about the current school board's policy of like saying, like, oh, this meeting is open to the public, but it's not a public meeting. And he criticized that, and he said we should be more transparent in our school board meetings and actually have, a discussion with the community. And he criticized the current school board's, lack of transparency there. Pratt talked about town halls are positive until they turn into a gripe session. And now we move on to closing remarks. I apologize for the mispronunciation. It's supposed to be Bose, not booze. Julietta Bose. So Weiss he talked about how he would like more active outreach in the hiring process to get a more diverse pool. And he also talked about how at Gettysburg College we would do course evaluations by the students. So the students would give feedback to the professor for every class. And he said, why don't we do that for the high school where students and parents can fill out feedback for the school board? So he brought that up. What else? Yep, that's it for the school board candidate forum. I attended that, gave you guys a little summary about that. Next up, I'm going to talk about there was a faculty meeting on September 11th, 2025, and there was a proposition to change the suspension policy. So Associate Professor of Africana Studies and Chair of the Academic Standing Committee, Hakeem Williams, and Chairperson of the Spanish Department, Alvaro Kempfer, presented a motion to change the academic suspension period from 1 year to a single semester. Quote, we do indeed believe that a 1-year suspension is just utterly disastrous and disruptive to a student's academic progression here at the college and decreases their probability of a degree completion, Williams said. He also highlighted the retention rates have previously been shown to improve when a student successfully appeals for a 1-semester suspension instead of a full year suspension based on data from 2012 to 2019. That was compiled by the Associate Registrar, Lindsay Arlington. The data pool was chosen to avoid any complications that may have risen from COVID. Further, Williams discussed the detriment of a year-long suspension to mental health. Quote, we absolutely think that we want students to feel as if they belong to the community here. We want to give them all the support they need to augment that sense of belonging to the community. And we think that prolonged disengagement from the college works against that goal. He highlighted several additional considerations, including academic readiness, financial considerations, and the ASC appeals process. So Susan Russell gave compliments to the proposal. Quote, every single time we went through the appeals, it came down to the fact that we felt that a single semester was sufficient. And as you pointed out in the information that you've given, it was very difficult to try to ascertain 1 semester versus 1 year. It's really a wise proposal, and I'm really glad that you all were able to put this together in an elegant fashion that's quite straightforward. There was clarification asked by Professor of Biology Veronique de la Salle about whether a second academic suspension was last for a single semester. Brandauer explained that a second academic suspension would result in automatic dismissal. So that was a new proposed policy. It's not been voted on yet, but it's a new policy. Proposal. Next up, we're going to talk about some news in the Gettysburg connection. So the Gettysburg Station plan received extension to November. New housing projects proposed on East Water Street. This is September 17th by Catalina Reiter. So the Gettysburg Planning Commission voted unanimously to postpone action on the preliminary and final plan for the Gettysburg Station project until the meeting on November 17th. The developers requested this action to continue working on plans with borough staff and state agencies. Planning Director John Whitmore said that parties hope to finish the review of the plans and bring them to an approve/deny vote before a year has passed since their introduction. If the process stretches longer, the prices and availability of materials will have changed too much, he says. The planning application was introduced in April 2025, and the timeline was extended once in June. It is common for planning bodies to vote on extensions to give developers more time to work with the municipality to bring plans into compliance, especially for complex and large-scale projects. Whitmore said, changes made to the plan so far include increasing the amount of landscaping on the site and changing some of the drive aisles for vehicles. The developers are still working with the Pennsylvania State Department of Transportation to create a traffic study for the project. Whitmore said he hoped they would able to present a study in October, but working with PennDOT is a conversation that takes a long time. Whitmore expected that there would be questions for the developer from the public about whether the surrounding streets can handle increased traffic that would be created if the project is completed. The proposed plan includes both residences and commercial businesses. Traffic studies include estimations of the trips per day that will be generated by a development. So this will be on 351 East Water Street. A developer, Simrat LLC, submitted plans for a residential development of 10 townhomes at 351 East Water Street. A copy of the plans is included with the meeting minutes. Borough staff will begin reviewing the application. So this is another development project in addition to the station project. So proposed project consists of 10 single-family residences organized into 2 main structures made up of 5 townhome units. The lot is currently a vacant grass field about 0.83 acres in size, located near Mason-Dixon Distillery, Spectra Code Corporation, and Stanler's Auto and Furniture Upholstery. Whitmore said that the challenge of the site was providing parking, and borough staff was recommending the developer explore off-site parking options to meet the off-street parking requirement. Commission member Martin Jolin noted that there didn't appear to be much room between the unit garages and the street, as currently represented in the drawings. Though he had not a chance to look at the measurements, any vehicle parked in front of the garages might infringe on the bike path. Whitmore said specific questions about the design of the buildings and specific questions about accessibility, like curb cut design, could be explored in more detail during the review process. So the review process will occur, and you can submit questions or concerns about it. This is something, new development is really a hot topic for the borough right now, especially. You see all these signs out for Save Historic Gettysburg in opposition to the station project. You heard the mayor candidates talk about sometimes the importance of keeping Gettysburg small and quaint, or, expanding Gettysburg, bringing in more, taxable revenue. So there's the divide there. And moving on, we're going to talk about some events coming up at the college. So we have today, Saturday, September 27th, Journeys, the Sunderman Conservatory Wind Symphony, conducted by Russell McCutcheon, and the Gettysburg College Jazz Ensemble, directed by Amanda Heim. The concert will be 8 p.m. in the Majestic Theater. It's called Journeys. The tickets are $5 for students who show their Gettysburg College ID upon purchase. Delta Sigma Theta sorority is having their fall rush Sunday, September 28th at Dickinson College, Alt House 106 at 7:13 p.m. So that is a little bit of a drive up to Carlisle, but that is where Delta Sigma Theta Rush is going to be happening at 7:13. Pre-registration is required, and questions can be directed to Upsilon Delta. Oh my goodness, just lost it. Be back. Upsilon Delta Press at gmail.com. Limited spots are available for transportation, but students with their own transportation are able to drive themselves. So next week you have, there are events for the Center for Global Education. They have Take Your Studies Global September events. So If you're interested in Gettysburg and Bonn, there's an informational meeting September 1st, 12 to 12:50 in GLAT 103. Lutheran College Washington semester, info session September 8th. There's activities fair pop-up September 10th. Oh, these are in the past. September 29th is the one, they have evening walk-in advising hours from 5 to 7 in the West Building 212. So September 30th, Tuesday, from noon to 1, you have crafting covers letters with the Center for Career Engagement. So that's going to be in Glatfelter 5, 12 to 1 p.m. So if you're not sure what steps to take to craft the perfect cover letter, join the Center for Career Engagement to learn important tips and tricks that will help you navigate your next internship or job search. If you're curious about immersion projects, there's a meeting Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. in the Cub Junction. Learn about the opportunities, the costs, and how to get involved. You're thinking about participating in one of the immersion projects through the Center for Public Service. Join CPS in an info session this upcoming Tuesday. They'll be talking through the various opportunities, costs associated with trips, and how you can get more involved. And that was just some of the updates for events at Gettysburg College. Thank you all for listening so much. I've been Dan. This has been the Gettysburg Update. And I'll see you next Saturday at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the Gettysburg Update. Thank you so much.